for the rest of the meeting.
Okay, we got everybody?
Yes.
All righty. Well, I think everybody kind of introduced themselves. Thank you. And one of the reasons we wanted to do that is to help our new folks who are in the meeting to know who other people in the community were. So thank you, Michael, for hosting, helping us do that. And this is all about meeting our new people are just retiring. It's making me want to retire. But we have new people. So it's always good to have new blood doing things. And hopefully you all got the bios. So I don't want to read the bios, but our guests this morning are, you have Letitia, well, you have Kim Herron that you've met. You've all met all these people. And they're going to tell their own story. And what we asked them to do is to share who they are. We asked them to say a little about themselves and why they chose to do the work in this new role that they're in, and anything else that they feel comfortable sharing, and other places that they might have worked. And then the other thing we've asked everybody to do is to say what their goals and plans are in this next year, and their vision for the organization that they're heading up, and how we as collaborative partners can be of help in the new role, and also where you're located and how you can be reached. And that you can also put in the chat. So we're going to move in order, and kind of told people 10 to 15 minutes, but we, just in the interest of time, we're have about an hour, and we start out with 4 panelists, but then somebody else retired. So we now have 5. So what I like to do is give everybody a chance to kind of introduce themselves in that kind of order. So we'll have 1 panelist at a time, and then we'll have opportunities for any questions briefly at the end. And then we're going to play our little trivia game so we can give away some prizes. So Kim Herron, if you would begin.
And let me just say,
you might want to put yourself on speaker mode.
And Dawn, let me I just wanted to say to all the speakers, please, we would like to humbly ask you to go for about 9 or 10 minutes, and around 9 minutes, I'll give you a 1-minute heads up so you can kind of wrap it up. So please forgive me for doing that. I don't mean to cut off anything you have to say.
And but for everybody else, if you go up to the view, put it in speaker mode, then that way you can have you can view the speakers better. I'm gonna do that myself. So, okay. All right, Kim.
All right, good morning, everyone. I gave a little tiny bit of my bio earlier. So my young family moved to Fayette County in January of 1985. I was a special education teacher at the time and immediately got a position serving between McIntosh High School and Booth Middle School, and did many years of special ed in Fayette County before Fayette. However, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in coal mining steel country, and a big Steeler fan. I have some family still back there, but my parents are both deceased. In fact, my father died when I was 11 months old and was raised by a single mom. Didn't realize that I grew up in poverty because I didn't really want for anything, extended family help, but my mom was not very well educated and didn't enter high school, was raised by foreign speaking parents. So the incentive to become an educator was inspired actually by my mother-in-law. I got married while I was in college, and she was a special education teacher and was just in awe of what she did with the students she served. And so she was my motivation to get a teaching degree, taught in the DC area and in the Orlando area just for a short while before we moved to the Atlanta area. Due to my husband at the time, all of his job promotions got us to move quite a bit. settled in Fayette County because of the school system. Both of my boys are Fayette County graduates. And in fact, I have 2 grandchildren attending Fayette County Public Schools, and one future grandchild who is now 4, and then one on the way that will also be attending Fayette County schools. So Fayette County is really home. It's become, just the place where I want to stay and want to contribute and want to continue to serve our community in the capacity of the Assistant Superintendent of Student Achievement. People were kind of surprised, I think, that I took on this position and thought, well, I could, Kim could retire. When is Kim going to retire? And I'm not quite ready, Dawn, to do that. I heard you mentioning that earlier, and I just think at this point in time, one of my goals is to really help provide a smooth transition with Dr. Patterson being early in his tenure in our district and having Dr. Barrow here for so many years, and seeing before that some of the multiple changes we made over a short period of time while I was principal. I want continuity for our system, and I want us to continue to grow on an upward trend. I do believe that we have some of the best educators and best families that we could possibly have and serve. So I want to maximize the potential that we have in our community by continuing to improve student achievement, by being competitive with private schools. There are more options for parents now than ever to send their children to a private school setting or do virtual learning in several different avenues in addition to homeschooling. But I'm a strong believer in public education and feel that it can open doors for many students. So that's really a lot about me. I did serve as a principal for close to 12 years at Fayetteville Intermediate most of my tenure. And then I had the challenge of an opportunity to serve 2 schools at the same time. When Hood Avenue lost its principal, actually it was Julie Turner then that went on to Kedron due to our downsizing of our community. I was asked by Dr. Bearden to be principal of both Hood Avenue Primary, which is now Fayetteville Elementary. It's the lower building on Hood Avenue, and got to consolidate those 2 schools into one school. And then the position of Director of Elementary Education was open, and I applied for that. And that's really why I left the principalship. I felt that I could support other principals with my experience and support them. It was, to me, one of the most challenging, but yet one of the most rewarding jobs I ever had. Not only do you get to work with students and teachers, you really get connected with the community and with business partners. So I felt that that was really, looking back at that was probably, again, a huge responsibility, but very rewarding. And I look forward to this new responsibility that I have, and know that I will have support of a great team there at the Lafayette Educational Center is where my office is. I will be moving from building B to building A, and into where the board office is. My office will be in that hallway next to all the other assistant superintendent of operations and finance. So that's a little bit about me and the goals I have, how you could reach me. All of our emails are very similar in Fayette County. It's our last name dot first name at fcboe.org. And, you can also see us on the website and locate us there. Work with Audrey Toney and Sam Sweat closely, have known Don Opara since Ogechi was one of my former students when I was principal. So just know that I look forward to building new partnerships and relationships with you all. I know that we could support each other. And one of the things that I think that the group can bring to me is just keep me abreast of any things that you hear in the community that our school system should be on the cutting edge of, that we should be aware of, any concerns. We want all of our schools to be sought after schools in the district. And so whatever you could do to make all of our, help me support our schools in doing the best job they can. That's really what I ask of this team. So I think I said that in about 5 minutes, Michael.
You did, and we got a minute and a half left. And Kim, what I'd like to ask is, can you tell us a little bit about the role you're walking into as Assistant Superintendent of Academic Achievement? What are some of the key things your office is responsible for?
So what my office is responsible for there is the curriculum department or the student achievement department. So all of the curriculum coordinators, exceptional children's services, which some of you refer to probably as special education services, assessment and accountability, along with positive behavior interventions and support, and multiple systems, MTSS, of tiered systems of support, which is RTI. We use all these acronyms in education. I'm so sorry. But it's, and also right from the start pre-K programs, after school program now falls into it, CTE, which is career and technical education, and counseling services, school counselors. So it's a relatively big division, and our focus is on instruction, assessment, instruction, and curriculum. And so those three kind of wheels go together. You have to have a good assessment system in place in order to know that you're teaching the standards that our state provides to our teachers, and that our curriculum coordinators provide great resources to our teachers and professional learning. We also are responsible for evaluating the principals across K-12 schools. So, it's a lot, but it's, it's really the core work is about student teaching and learning.
Great, Kim, thank you. Comprehensive answer. That's very appreciated.
Yeah.
Dawn, back to you.
Or is there any quick questions, since we have a minute that anybody has? I wanted to know, where in Stiller Country were you? I grew up in Stiller Country.
All right, so it was a small town called Daisy Town, which you probably never have heard of. It did have a post office. My uncle was the postmaster there for many, many years. And it's located between Uniontown and Washington.
Okay, Little Wash.
Yes. So where did you grow up, Dawn?
Sharon, Pennsylvania. Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Sharon,
Pennsylvania.
yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Kim, and thank you for sharing. And hopefully you all will connect with Kim. I've known her for a good long time, and I'm so happy to have her in this position. I think so. Good luck to you. We're here to support you. And
thank you, Dawn.
All righty. Now we'd like to introduce Daniel Rodgers, who has taken the place of Debbie Christian and Debbie, how did I forget her last name?
Deb Presley Christensen.
Presley Christensen, who's now moved to Florida. So Daniel, please introduce yourself again and tell us the things that we asked you to share.
Absolutely. Good afternoon again, everyone. My name is Daniel Rodgers. I am the new Executive Director of the Fayette Care Clinic. It's an extreme honor to be here. A little bit about who I am. So my path toward nonprofit management has been sort of organic. I grew up in the YMCA. Took my first hit of a baseball at the at the YMCA. I was a part of the T-ball team there, a co-ed T-ball team actually. So I learned a lot. Learned how to swim at the Y, and I had my first job at the Y. I was a lifeguard actually. So I had kind of been in and around, the YMCA for a good bit of my life. When I was younger, so I was homeschooled. My mother, for one of my first assignments, I was like 10 years old. She made me read "Gifted Hands" by Dr. Ben Carson, and I pretty much knew at that point, or I thought I knew, that I was going to be a doctor. And so that was how my academic, path was kind of set up. And so I attended Georgia State University with the expectation that I was going to be a doctor. During my junior year, I remember getting an opportunity to work for a outpatient operation. They had about 30 locations in Metro Atlanta, and I worked in their operations and learned a lot. I'll never forget that opportunity. But one of the things that definitely didn't sit well with me was some of the behind the scenes, especially dealing with insurance and things like that. The behind the scenes delivery of healthcare. I remember one particular day that I just will never forget is when we had two patients come in. They were both around the same age, and they both had the exact same diagnoses from two separate doctors. And as I'm checking them in and they're consulting with their doctor or with the would-be provider, I remember overhearing for one lady, the provider saying that, "Hey, I can treat you, everything is going to be okay." And the other lady comes in, several hours later, and he expresses that he has the ability to treat her, but because our clinic or our operation would not get reimbursed based on her insurance, he could not do so, and that his hands were tied. And that ruined not my perception of doctors, but it ruined the perception that I thought I would be able to operate in as a doctor myself. When you're a kid and you draw pictures, doctors turn frowns upside down, you think that, everything is, or that a doctor has the autonomy to do everything to make someone feel better. So anyway, it just so happened, as I mentioned, that opportunity arose during my junior year. During my senior year, it just so happened that the last class, which was a program management class of my undergraduate studies, was taught by the director of the YMCA, and we had recircled back. It was a lady that I was familiar with, and she had remembered that even as a lifeguard, I helped her out during a lot of her aqua aerobics classes, way like probably 8 or 9 years prior. And I told her, she asked me, this is my last class, what do I want to do? And I told her that I was struggling. And she said she wanted to introduce me to the world of nonprofit, civil service, and health at the same time. So the Y at the time was looking for a senior director of wellness, public health, and wellness programs. And she had recommended me for that position. And I was able to get it. And so that's how my path in nonprofit started with the YMCA and public health and civil service, meshing my love for healthcare with civil service. Started at the Y. And so, not to drag it on, but about 4.5 years I spent at the Y, and I've been afforded many other opportunities. I've lived in Alaska. I know Ms. Johnson said she lived in Alaska. I lived in the southern part of Kenai. I was the CEO of a behavioral health organization up there for a little while. Came back to Atlanta though. And shortly after my return to Atlanta, I was very interested in, what the Fayette Care Clinic was doing, and am humbled to be in the position that I am now to serve them. So we actually have a gala coming up on Thursday. So I think I'll see you there, Don. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me and kind of where I am now. What my goals are with the care clinic. So some of you may or may not know, we don't take any money. Money is not an issue or a factor when you come to us. We serve anyone in Fayette County as of right now without insurance, without healthcare insurance. That is something that is kind of near and dear to me. And so, you know, because of that, we do obviously rely on the generosity of grants and individual giving and things like that. But it's a really amazing thing. We are a part of the Georgia Clinical or Volunteer Clinic Network through the Department of Public Health. And so we are, you know, a state recognized healthcare facility. And it's been a wonderful blessing to work there. My goals for the organization are obviously, you know, to increase funding sources. I would like to see the organization I would like to see our clinic be a federally, you know, qualified health center, which just qualifies us for some federal funding and things like that. That would be a big step in increasing the scope of services that we offer. Where are we located? We are located on 1260 State Route 54 East. Right across the street from Piedmont Fayette. They're one of our good partners. And then my contact information is 770 for the clinic, 719-4620. And I believe that is all of the questions you had asked me to share, Don. I think I did that in about 4 to 5 minutes.
The other one is, how can we as partners help you?
Oh, that's right. I apologize. Yes, and so a lot of you, obviously, we all in our own aspects deal with vulnerable populations and things like that. One of the things that I like to share with, you know, anyone in my network is that I would like for all of us to really redefine how we view the word health. And I think if 2020 hasn't taught us anything, is that health is very all-encompassing. But the World Health Organization very recently, probably within the last 50 or 60 years or so, redefined the word health. Whereas before, the definition used to be just the absence of a disease or an infirmity. Now the definition is not only the absence of disease or infirmity, but the presence of physical, mental, and social well-being. And with the Fayette Factor and the collaboration that we all have, we all are addressing some aspect of health. Even with Kim and Miss Kim Herron with her education, you know, she is addressing social issues. She is addressing even mental health issues in the school system. And we all with the MSB, or I'm sorry, the McIntosh Trail, I know that you guys deal a lot with, you know, behavioral health and things like that. So we all have or are addressing gaps in different social determinants of health. And so I would just say that in a way to help each other in a spirit of collaboration, if there is a gap that you feel that you cannot fill in terms of that, then feel free to refer to us. Maybe we can also collaborate on different programs that we can do together to offer for, you know, for the constituents that we serve. And just keep in mind that, you know, as I said, health is all encompassing. And so if we need to identify a gap, or if we identify a gap and we need to create something or address it, I am here as a resource for each and every one of you. So thank you.
Daniel, with the last 60 seconds we have, if you could just elaborate quickly on about the how many people per month or per year do you help at the care clinic? If you could give a quick rundown of specific services you provide, and maybe just for context, a few that you don't yet provide that you're aiming for.
Sure, absolutely. I have to pull it up here because I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I am fairly new into the role, about 3 months in, so I don't know all the numbers from the previous years. I do know that we serve, like I said, anyone in Fayette County that does not have insurance. I do have a tool that allows me to break down the demographic and some of the other data. I don't have all of the specifics. What was the second part of your question, though?
Maybe some specific services that the Fayette Care Clinic provides.
Yes, so a lot of people don't know, obviously we provide primary care services, you know, physicals and things like that. We also provide chiropractic services. We have dental services. We are trying to, due to COVID, we had to cease the dental services, but we're looking to rekindle those. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with a gynecologist that'll be hopefully working with us, a physical therapy. So we're looking in to preventative, physical health and maintenance and things like that. And we also do behavioral health. We have a remote behavioral health staff. So we are, trying to address that as well. I would like to see a lot more on the preventative side as well, just personally. And so I'm definitely looking for, building collaborations to allow us to do so on the preventative medicine side, not only physical health, but mental and behavioral health as well, preventative in both aspects. So that's a little bit about what we do. And yeah.
Thank you. Wow. Well, I want to meet and chat with you more. Thank you very much.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Okay. Moving right along, we have Mr. Patrick Burke from Midwest Food Bank. Pat, are you there? Did I lose him?
I'm looking right now. I don't see him.
Is that better?
He's there, he was muted.
I'm up. Yep. So I'm back on, right?
There we
Yes.
are. Yes.
Okay, terrific. So wonderful for the invitation to be on the call this morning. I appreciate that and to meet all of you. So I joined Midwest Food Bank basically just a couple weeks ago. And my story to get to the Midwest Food Bank here in Peachtree City, I actually grew up in Fayette County, moved there in '71. My mom and dad are still in the same house I grew up in. Graduated, went to Peachtree City Elementary School, Fayette County Junior High, and then the Fayette County High School. And then after college, joined Ralston Purina. You see the tower right off of 85 there. So that's where I began kind of my corporate career and had several moves and with several different companies. So General Mills and PepsiCo, last several years with Gatorade, running the Western Division. And then the last 6 or 7 years, I was up in Spokane, Washington, as a group president for a tissue and pulp and paper company called Clearwater Pulp and Paper there in Spokane, Washington. So really thoroughly enjoyed all the moves around the country. Probably had, 11 or so moves before we decided maybe it was time to come back home. And so we took several months off and sold the house, put the stuff in storage, and we took off for several months and made our way back to the Southeast. And that's when my wife said she was kind of tired of being homeless and it was time to go home. We both have a lot of family here in Peachtree City and in the Fayette County area, in the Atlanta area. So it made sense. We've got a daughter here with a couple of kids. So our grandkids are here. I've got other family here in Illinois where I am today. But through all this process, I kind of felt like I didn't really feel like I was retired, but maybe I just didn't feel like I was doing the right thing. So kind of on the job search, I always had something gnawing at me and what am I supposed to be doing kind of post a formal professional career kind of thing in the corporate world, which I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it and learned quite a bit through that process and met a lot of wonderful people. But what was the next step kind of in my life and what was going on? And so through that process and looking, I've been back in Peachtree City for about 1.5 years, almost a little bit longer than that now, I guess. And Midwest Food Bank, I was familiar with them to a far lesser degree, obviously, just by volunteering there in the past with my daughter and grandkids, et cetera. So I knew that side of it. And then when the role came open, because, and many of you probably know, I think maybe Will Gardner, Will had decided to move into a different role with the chamber, and the position came open, and talked to several people, including Will, and it just seemed to be a perfect fit for me in terms of my values and what Midwest Food Bank is all about, how they started here in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois, with David Keyser, and I think Michael, you had talked about, maybe he had shared his story with Fayette Factor before. So that's always a super interesting conversation to have with him. But being part of all that and having it, sharing the love of Jesus Christ through an example of making sure we can focus on feeding the hungry and folks who are don't have the nutritional value maybe in their food. And so doing that was, I'm in the process of kind of shedding the corporate skin and what that's all about, and getting acclimated more to what Midwest Food Bank is all about and the nonprofit focus on that process. So it's just been a fantastic experience for me stepping into that role, and the way Midwest Food Bank and the community has really welcomed me into Midwest Food Bank. I could not be more blessed because of that. In Midwest Food Bank, it also doesn't take a dime. It doesn't charge anybody for any food that comes through there. So it's all free, which is pretty exciting. And we get a lot of donations from large organizations, grocery stores, manufacturers. We'll ship from all over the country, bringing it into Peachtree City because, first of all, we have 3 volunteers that have the CDL license, are able to go get the food and bring it back to us. So the beautiful thing about Midwest Food Bank is none of this happens without, the volunteers. So there are 4,000 volunteers over the course of a year. And of those 4,000, there's probably 15 to 18 who are core volunteers who have been super successful in their own right, in their own careers, in their own life, and have decided to give back, and have decided to give back at Midwest Food Bank. So we don't take that lightly. We want to make sure the volunteers feel the love and the appreciation when they're here. We treat them like royalty. So when people come visit Midwest Food Bank, we want them to leave with a big grin on their face, feeling really good about what they're doing, what they've done. And they want to feel really good about, we want them to feel really good about the mission that Midwest Food Bank has. So it's really a well-run organization. And some of our goals that we have going forward and coming out of the, maybe coming out of this pandemic or continuing within the pandemic and how to operate successfully, we average about $1.5 million worth of food every month that we give away to approximately 250 different agencies. And those agencies are located across Georgia, a little bit over into the Alabama line, South Carolina. And then we have a satellite warehouse up in Tennessee that serves that Tennessee area. So it's grown from maybe 5 counties to 9 counties to include Southern Kentucky. So our reach is certainly expanding that way. But for us, we would really love to, we have the capacity now. We have an expanded building that we used to share, so that we have an expanded building. We now have a brand new freezer and cooler that holds up to 11 semi-trailers worth of food. And so we are turning that over quite frequently. So having that capacity, we need to go out and make sure we have credible agencies that we can fill. So we have about 250 or so agencies. At one time, we had over 300 agencies, but because of the pandemic, many of them have dropped off. Most of them have dropped off of that 40 to 50 that we had at one time. Others, quite frankly, when we vet all the agencies, because we want to make sure people are taking the food and the donations that were given to us, give those away to the people in need. So we do vet the organizations, the agencies that go through that process. And quite frankly, sometimes we've arrived at places that really just cannot manage the amount of food that we give people. Worst case scenario, they've been an empty wooded lot that we've been directed to, but those are few and far between. So growing the amount of food that we have coming through Midwest Food Bank from about 1.5 million in value upwards to about 1.8, even $2 million, I think is a real possibility because we have the capacity. Increase our number of volunteers. We should eclipse 4,000 volunteers in 2022. The other thing we want to make sure that we do now that we have this cooler and freezer is we measure the nutritional value of the food that we give out. So it's great that we give out, whether it's soda and chips and those kind of things. But listen, we also give out high value nutritional products. We have good relationships with Aloe Farms and many other people that donate to us that we can now store fresh fruit, vegetables, meats, and those kind of things that now we're able to distribute out to the community. So when I think about the goals for next year, increasing the value of the food that we give away, looking at increasing the amount of agencies to upwards of 300. And in order to accomplish that, we need to increase certainly the amount of volunteers that we have coming through our organization. So I feel really good about that. Feel really good about Midwest Food Bank and the team that's out there. We only have, I say 4.5 because there's a part-time person. So there's 5 people on staff for the entire organization to deliver that kind of impact to the community. Again, that only happens because of the volunteers that come out. And the volunteers can range, we've had them from as young as 2 to in their mid-90s. And in fact, there's a story just a couple months before I got there, a gentleman who had volunteered, one of the people that had volunteered the longest had recently passed, 94 years old. And he was, didn't want any help. He was going to load the cases onto the trailers and the trucks that come driving through there. But just to show, I think the love of Midwest Food Bank and the love of volunteering and giving back that he had, he wanted his memorial service right there at Midwest Food Bank. So we absolutely said okay to that and cleared out the warehouse and set that up for the family, and we are very appreciative of someone showing that kind of love for what Midwest Food Bank is all about. And there's just story after story after story like that. So for me, stepping into the nonprofit world after 40 plus years in a corporate world has just been a whole new awakening for me, and very energized and very excited about it as well. So we are located in Peachtree City on Parkade Court, right off of 74 South. If you know where MOBA Industries are, or the Peachtree Athletic Complex, going down 74, you take a little left off Gardner Street, and we're kind of tucked back in there in a cul-de-sac. So that's the story I have to kind of introduce myself to the community here.
Okay, what's our time like, Michael?
He used up just at the 10-minute mark, and I had one question that was lingering for me, and he covered it with which is how many food pantries they handle, and I heard 250 was the number, so that's phenomenal.
Great. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the community.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Absolutely.
Great. I'm glad your family's probably happy to see you too. Okay.
Dawn, let me say real quickly that yes, I do acknowledge, as someone sent me a message, that the chat is locked, and I found that too, and I've never seen that before. So I am desperately trying to figure out how to enable the chat. So forgive me while I duck away to try to do that. Dawn, back to you for now. For now, we have to say, if you have a really important question, go ahead and raise your hand, and let's at least acknowledge it during the meeting.
Okay. All righty. Next, we have Letitia, the Interim Executive Director for Promise Place.
Hi, everybody, and good afternoon. As Dawn said, my name is Lyntica Seawood, and I'm the Interim Executive Director for Promise Place, or Fayette County Council on Domestic Violence. I was originally the shelter manager, so I don't feel quite as new because I've been with the Fayette Factor for a little while, just new into this different position. But my story just kind of began. I am originally from Chicago, which I know most people have heard me saying. I love Chicago, just don't like the cold. But that's one of the reasons that I actually moved to Georgia. When I originally moved here a couple of years ago, I left Chicago and the weather was a negative 38 degrees. So I am happy to be a Georgian now. But my story began in Chicago. My parents were very young parents. My mom was 13 and my dad was 14 when they had me. So I was pretty much raised by my grandmother. Domestic violence at the time was no stranger to me in my household. My mom was a domestic violence victim and passed away at 43. We didn't have a name for it at that time. We just knew the police would be in front of our house and something was going to be going on. And so when I went away to college, it was never my desire to actually leave to go to college. I was just trying to get away from the neighborhood that I grew up in. And so in being there, I started out as in education as a teacher, and actually had a chance to sit in on one of the social work classes and fell in love with social services. And so I've been in the field over 30 years, working with seniors, persons of developmental disabilities. I've worked with disadvantaged youth, just a wide genre of fields that I've worked in. And so coming to Georgia, actually met Vanessa and fell in love with Promise Place. The organization is a wonderful organization, helps domestic violence families. And when I say families, I say that because people don't sometimes know that we service men as well as women and their children. And so one of our goals, or my goals actually, is to broaden our horizons. People know of Promise Place in certain respective orders, but they don't necessarily know what we do. And so I am hoping to, first of all, create more wealth for us. We are heavily getting our funds through grants, which our donors are amazing and that's wonderful, but we need another stream of income so that we can keep that going. But also to just make sure that we are servicing more people in the community. And so that our name is out there, even though we service Fayette County, Spalding, Pike, and Upson, we don't have a wide base in some of those other counties that are needing our services. And so we're looking into that for possibly next year. We're even talking about possibly opening up another shelter and just trying to see how that would work because the need is there. One of the things that I can say that I have loved about being a part of Fayette Factor is just the collaboration and the networking. I've met a lot of people through being a part of the organization, which has been very helpful to me just being here in this capacity, not only as the interim executive director, but also coming from the shelter. That's been a big help in just being able to network with people that I did not know, and just how free-hearted everybody is in terms of giving you information that's needed and wanting to make sure that you prosper in the services and things of that nature. One of the reason that I chose to stay and I'm trying to cover all aspects, so if I missed something down, I'm sorry. One of the reasons that I chose to actually be in this position was because coming from the shelter, you get one side of everything. And now being in this position as the interim director, I understand how important it is for a different side. I worked with Vanessa extensively prior to her leaving. And so I now get to see the business side of everything and why things work the way that they work. And so it's important for me to make sure that we transition and that our services don't lack and that we're able to continue to build on what she built. Vanessa was here for 17 years and was an amazing executive director. I still consult with her now, but I want to make sure that our services don't lack and that we increase the service that we give and that we make sure that we are intentional. That was a very big word for me at the shelter with staff when I first started. Growing up as a child and seeing the domestic violence in our household, it was very important for me to make sure that our children at the shelter and the people that we serve actually had services that were intentional. It's one thing to provide a service, but to make sure that you're using the correct language and to make sure that you have that empathy and that you're listening to people as they talk. And also starting with where people are and not where we want them to be. That's a really big thing for me in social service is sometimes we want to save the world. We're going to fix their problems. We're going to make sure that, we do everything for them, but that's not our goal. Our goal should be to be there as a support system and to find out what they need and where they are on their journey. And so not to inundate them with paperwork, that's important. But right now, what is it that we can do that we can help you at this stage in your life, and understanding that it's just for a season. And so whatever help you need from us, that's what we're going to do. So I was very intentional about making sure that as I walked through our programs, that there were positive verbiage that was up. There was so many things when I first started about what they couldn't do. And I started saying, my goodness, what can they do? Everything was just, you can't do this. And at this time, this needs to happen. And so to just make sure that we don't become robotic in our services, and that we understand that people are individuals, and that we treat them as such, and that we give them a respect that they need. Doesn't matter where they came from, doesn't matter why they're here. And so now how can we service them and make sure that we're doing what we are supposed to be doing? I think for me, in terms of the factor, what I would like to see is what you're actually doing now is just continuing to reach out and adding more people as they come in. I get to learn and meet new faces and meet new people in terms of what they're doing. I'm excited to hear about the clinic. And let me express why, because sometimes we have a difficult time with getting our clients serviced if they don't have insurance. And so that was one of the things that I did not know, that you take them without insurance. So we'll definitely be reaching out to get some more help with that aspect of getting our women and families serviced from the shelter. But also, Pat, to say thank you, because we're one of the recipients of the food bank. And so it helps out the shelter. So all of the collaboration together for me is important, because it helps us to just see that we're not alone. And so being able to continue to have these services, being able to continue to network, that's super important for me. One of my goals, I think I've said before, is to just make sure that we are looking at other streams of revenue, and that we keep that coming in so that we can provide the services. That was a really big task coming in. I see that I didn't see on the shelter side. I just knew what we needed and didn't understand why, if we couldn't get it, why we couldn't get it. But now I understand, sitting in the seat, why sometimes things don't happen. And so just making sure that we don't have to have that as a story, that the revenue is coming in, and that we continue to provide not just service, but good service to the people that are actually needing it. We are located in Fayetteville on 350 North Jeff Davis Drive is our main office. And I will put, now I see the chat is working, I'll put our information in the chat so that people can have that. But growing up in impoverished neighborhoods and dealing with the things that I dealt with in Chicago is one of the reasons why I'm in the field that I'm in. I absolutely love and adore social work, not because I want to change anybody, but just because I want to help.
Thank you so much. And in terms of the services, there's shelters, and can you just talk to us a little bit about some services, and even some of the dating services, some of the preventive stuff that you do?
Absolutely. So we do have the shelter that offers case management. It also offers child advocacy. We have counseling services. There is also the legal component where we are assisting our families with getting TPO services if that's needed. We have a teen dating and violence.
When you say TPO, can you tell
Sure.
people?
Absolutely. And so the TPO is just a temporary protective order. Sometimes you will have people that come in, especially if they're fleeing situations where they're looking to have that protective order in place. We will actually go to court with or for our participants to make sure that those services are in order. We also have a teen dating and violence program. And one of the things that kind of astounded me about that is that I had no idea that this starts early on. And so we are going into the schools as early as middle school. And that just blows my mind, to talk about what good relationships are like, and what you've seen, or what are bad relationships. And so when we ask that question, how many of you have seen violence in your homes, or dating, someone who may have been a little aggressive, and to see the hands go up, I'm amazed that we can start as early as middle school, and we're seeing that already. So it's important for us to make sure that we are encompassing most of the schools. I believe we are seeing all of them pretty much in Fayetteville. And so we're looking to kind of move out a little more into Griffin and some of the other areas. We also have a Teen Dating and Violence Summit that we do. And that's important too, because we include the parents. There are sessions where the parents are involved without the children, and then we bring them together, and just amazed at how some of the parents don't even know what's actually going on.
Okay, thank you. Michael, you're muted. Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn. Lynn, we're just about out of time, but there was 3 questions in the chat. One is your contact information. 2 is, does Promise Place still have the yearly 5K race? And do the clients of Promise Place still make the t-shirts with the story of their life? And how are services accessed at Promise Place?
Absolutely. The contact information, I will put that in the chat to save time for you guys. And then we do have the 5K. We actually just had the 5K about a month ago, and it went really well. And so, yes, we do still have that. And the t-shirts, yes, they still have the t-shirts that they're making. To access the services, I'll put our phone numbers in there, the hotline numbers and everything like that, to make sure that you have that, and so that it's in writing.
Thank you so much. Okay, last but not least is Kenyatta Walker, our new CEO for the McIntosh Trail, and she services, I think, 7 counties. So go ahead, Kenyatta.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for allowing me this opportunity. Don and Michael, I definitely appreciate it. So again, I'm Kenyatta Walker. I am the new CEO for McIntosh Trail Community Service Board. Just a little bit about me. I was born and raised right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. So all my family is still there. I actually came to Atlanta in 1997 to go to college. And so I was there. I went to college at Morris Brown College. So I came to Atlanta for that. And I went away to grad school. I hear a few people from Chicago, but I went to Cleveland, Ohio for grad school. So I was there, cold weather, Lake Erie. I'm a Southern girl, hated everything about the cold weather. The only thing I enjoyed about Cleveland is that's where I met my husband. He's born and raised in Cleveland, and he's proud Cleveland everything fan. He had a bad weekend this weekend when the Ohio State Buckeyes lost, but nevertheless, just about me, I'm a diehard football fan. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, born and raised in the Carolinas. We did not have a football team when I was growing up. The Carolina Panthers came into existence literally a year and a half before I moved to Atlanta for college. So back then, everybody was some other team fan. So I've always been a Falcons fan because they were close to home. I'm a season ticket holder, so win or lose, most lately lose, I'm there, yelling and screaming and representing for the Falcons. So just love to do that. I've been married 17 years. My husband and I have 2 little girls. They are 11 and 9, Kendi and Kendall. So in my spare time, all of my time, I'm a volleyball mom. So both of my daughters are on a club volleyball team, and we travel out of state, and we're just on the road nonstop. When we're not playing club ball, my oldest daughter plays for her middle school team. So year round is volleyball. My husband just told me he looked on the calendar from January until May during the prime of volleyball season, and we literally have 2 weekends off in those 4 months. So my life is about to get even busier, but that's just a little bit about me. So with McIntosh Trail, we are one of 23 community service boards in the state of Georgia. So we are under the Department of Developmental, DBHCD. You may have heard the acronym, Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. They govern us and oversee us, and the majority of our funding come from them. So we are considered to be a safety net provider. What they mean by the safety net is our primary focus, our primary population are those individuals who don't have health insurance. The idea is if you have health insurance, you can, go to other providers. But we are specifically designed to be the safety net for those who do not have health insurance. Now, we do accept health insurance because we do look at other streams of revenue, but our priority population are those who do not have health insurance. So we cover 7 counties, Fayette County being one of our counties. We're also in Butts County, Henry County, Lamar, Pike, Spalding, and Upson counties. And we actually have physical locations in every county except for Pike, but we're physically in the other counties with our services. We are governed by a 12-man and woman board of directors. Each county commissioners appoint the representatives for the board of directors. So Fayette County has 3 members of our board of directors, and they specifically supervise me as CEO. And so our board chair is actually a Fayette County resident. Her name is Elizabeth Morgan. Our other representatives from Fayette County, Sharon Jackson White. She's a psychiatric nurse practitioner who works at Piedmont Fayette. And then last but not least, Sheriff Barry Babb. He's on our board, and he's one of my bosses. So the counties get to determine how many board members are elected based on the amount that the county contributes to our annual budget. So Fayette County gets 3 board members, one of which has to be an elected official, and that is, of course, Sheriff Babb. And with McIntosh Trail, we provide behavioral health services, so mental health and substance abuse services, as well as IDD, intellectual developmental disability services, to our individuals. Currently in Fayette County, between our outpatient center and our IDD center, we're serving about 600 individuals. And in addition to them coming to our counseling center there or our IDD center, we also have a crisis stabilization program, a behavioral health crisis center that's located in Griffin, and we serve individuals across all the counties. We do get a lot of referrals from Fayette County. Specifically, the probate judge in Fayette County can sign an order to involuntarily, admit someone to our BHCC, Behavioral Health Crisis Center, for stabilization. So we work closely with the sheriff's department, the police departments as well, so that we can make sure individuals who are in crisis get the treatment and the help that they need. We have our outpatient center, the Fayette County Counseling Center, there on Bradley Drive. So it's maybe a block over from the Senior Citizen Center and that complex. And then out on Carnegie, almost on the Clayton Fayette line, is where our IDD center is. We provide outpatient, inpatient, residential services, crisis stabilization services. We provide opioid treatment. If individuals have that need, we do provide that service in Fayette County through our counseling center. We have a team of MAT certified nurse practitioners and our medical director, Dr. Lenora Allen, who can provide that service along with the nurses to ensure, we kind of get on top of that and help with the opioid crisis that we're currently facing in America. We also, within the outpatient center, in addition, we provide individual therapy, groups. We provide psychiatric treatment, so individuals see a psychiatrist or a psychiatric nurse practitioner who's under the supervision of a psychiatrist. We provide nursing services. A lot of our individuals have what's called a SPME, a severe and persistent mental illness. So we see quite a few individuals who are on long-acting injections to kind of help stabilize their symptoms. So we provide nursing services, and the nurses will give those injections to those individuals as ordered by our doctors. We provide case management, where we can go out into the home, in the community, wherever the individual is most comfortable, and assist them with skills like applying for food stamps or applying for housing resources, applying for disability. We teach them skills that kind of help with their independence, like teaching them how to do a pill planner, so that they can take their medications correctly and on time, and stabilize their symptoms and things of that nature. We teach them money management skills. We teach them, we have a supportive employment program that will go out and assist the individual with getting a job. No matter what the diagnosis is, the individual says, I want to work, and we're here to teach them interviewing skills, how to appropriately dress for a job. We can even do some job coaching. We work with their employers just to kind of help them to be successful on their job. So, yes, sir. Oh,
Kenyatta,
okay.
we have 1 minute left.
Okay. Just kind of my goal is just to reestablish community partnerships. I think McIntosh Trail has been in existence in this form since 1993. And in my time, I've been with McIntosh Trail 18 years. I'm the 5th CEO. So stability, longevity is kind of what I want to bring. God willing, I have exactly 25 years before I can retire. So I hope to be in this role, until the end, but just working with our community providers and having those relationships and those partnerships, and anything McIntosh Trail can do to assist, we're here for the community.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank all of our panelists, everybody, for sharing their stories, and that you all can now know how to contact. It's so nice to put names and faces together so that we can continue to connect and network and support each other. So thank you so very much. I know it's almost 1 o'clock, and we want to make sure we end on time, and we want to end by giving some things away. We have some gift cards, yay, that I will mail to you. So here are the rules. Michael's going to do this, but the rules are, you have the first person who can answer the question and put it in the chat correctly will be the winner. And then that person should put in the chat directly to me an address that I can mail your gift card to. Okay. And if you won, let somebody else win. Okay. Don't be greedy. Okay. And this is open to anybody that's here today. Okay. Michael, you ready?
Yes, as I do this, I just want to do a quick welcome to 3 latecomers I saw come on. Betsy Toms, Beverlyn Ming, and Thais Mills. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate y'all. Also, I want to recall that we posted 2 job openings for Fayette Factor in the chat box. You can either click on those now and save them, or you can email Dawn or I about them, or you can save the chats. Now, the trivia questions. First one, and again, type in the answer in the chat box. Whoever does it first correctly wins. What year was Fayette County established as a county? Thomas.
Yay.
Thomas wins. Nice job.
Great, Thomas.
I'm gonna go right to the second question. Name all the cities and towns in our county. Holly won it. Nice job, Holly. So Holly and Thomas so far. Third question. What are the 4 counties that border Fayette County?
Some of these answers are funny.
Henry, Dawn, we didn't have Henry. Did we touch Henry?
No,
I don't
we do
think
not.
we do, Dawn.
I
Think we do.
I'll
We
tell
blew
you
the
where we
question.
got our answers.
Okay, we'll have to check the chat box. But according to our records, I don't think we touched Pike either.
Nope.
Krista?
No,
Adrian has the first answer we expected, but we have to go back and check if Henry, but then even if it does, Beverly, you missed Fulton. So it's either going to be Adrian or we made a mistake and I'll have to redo it next time.
Well, I took the answer straight from the Fayette County's history of Fayette County and who abutted us, northwest east.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
I use that as the official.
Okay, well, maybe we don't touch Henry. So then did I say Adrian? Yes, Adrian would win that then.
Adrian Johnson.
Yes. Next question. We have two left. Then we're closing the meeting just about. Who was Fayette County named after? Full name. And who was the general he worked for? I can taste is in the room. Betsy, you're right, Betsy. Who did he work for? Who was the general? If Betsy doesn't know, we have to give her half of a gift card. Marquis de Lafayette is correct. George Washington. Good job, Kenyatta. I think we should give it to Kenyatta and Betsy, Dawn. We were looking for a sixth question.
Kenyatta
anyway.
and Betsy.
And just so you all know, there are actually 17 states in our country that have a Fayette County. That's one thing I learned one time. Last question. What
Hey,
are the
excuse me, who did you say besides Kenyatta?
Betsy Toms?
Okay. People, please put your emails or where you want this emailed to. Okay, thanks, Betsy.
Emailed or mailed? Mailed.
Put it in the chat where they want their card mailed.
Okay, Betsy did it so far. Kenyatta's coming. Okay. And then the other people that we named as well. Thomas and Kenyatta. Adrian, thank you. Last question. What are the numbers of the 2 U.S. congressional districts that represent Fayette County? Not an easy one. Unless you applied for a federal grant recently. And I'll even tell you that the 2 representatives, should we tell them, Don?
Yep, you can tell them.
Are Drew Ferguson and David Scott. Whoever can Google fastest might win this.
Michael, if we save this chat, if they
I will.
send it to
I
me,
will.
can I have the addresses? Will the addresses show up?
Yes, they will.
Great, good.
Krista, fastest Googler in Fayette County. Krista is our last winner, Dawn.
Krista.
Dawn, we turn it over to you to close the meeting.
Okay, and we're right at that time. Thank you all. I want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday. We won't be meeting until January. Hopefully we'll be in person. And our next meeting is scheduled for January 24th, Monday, 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And we'll be sending you information between now and the next meeting. So if you're on our email list, we will continue to get information from us.
And importantly, if you have a recurring meeting set up in your calendar, we normally meet the 5th, the last Monday of the month, but in January, it's going to be the 4th. There's going to be 5 Mondays, but we're meeting the 4th because of a conference out of town that Dawn and I will be attending.
We will. And while we're at that conference, I'll make this announcement. Michael is receiving a national award from the CATCA conference. So we want to, and we'll give more information. Hopefully it'll be in the newspaper. We're very proud of Michael in his role as the drug-free Fayette person. and he's the advocate of the year. Is that right, Michael?
Well, Dawn, we probably shouldn't have said anything until it was announced nationally. So don't tell
Okay.
anyone outside of Fayette County.
Well, it's just us knowing. We haven't put
Yeah,
it in
it's
the paper
Advocate
yet.
of the Year, yes.
Okay. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the Kwanzaa or whatever you celebrate over this holiday. We wish you well, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And hopefully we get to see you in person. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all our panelists. You gonna save the chat?
Yeah, Daniel, I got to follow up with you on health equity. I don't know if you saw that message.
No, what message?
Maybe our chat wasn't working, but you mentioned some things about equity in health, and that's something that our national funders are emphasizing a lot now, and we have a lot to learn, but we have to do it. And we have a little committee of three of us so far. I'd love for you to be the fourth, but I'm not going to sign you up for a whole bunch of work because I know you're new ED, but we could use some of your passion and your experience in informing our committee's work.
Absolutely, I'd love to help, and at the very least, offer some perspective or anything that I can. So just let me know. I put my number in the chat, and I'd be happy to connect.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything else you need from me before?
No,
Yeah.
we want to thank you. You've been a busy guy with your tournament and the gala coming up.
Yes.
Well, I'm running.
The gala is on Thursday. So
Right.
yeah, it's gonna be. I think it'll be okay, but I'm looking forward to it. So you're gonna be there, right? You got
I'm
your
gonna be
mask?